Welcome back. We're here with movie critic Stephen Wade, who's answering our questions. Well, Steve, some people have asked that about the lack of originality in Hollywood. People say, well, many movie reviews are, many movies are being sequels and prequels or even reboots of pre-existing material.
Mhm.
What are your opinions on this matter?
Yeah, a lot of people are more reliant. They say it's like lack of originality in Hollywood, and that's kind of true. People are more investing on things that look familiar. They are not really taking any interest of something that's new and innovative or anything like that. They just, it's basically, it's a matter of not, of just wanting undemanding material that doesn't make them think much, and I think that's a huge problem with cinema today.
Okay, but do you think that it is bad for Hollywood to be remaking its material?
I mean, there are some remakes out there that are just as good as the originals and all that, but I mean, yeah, since it's become like a main constant and everything, I think it is crutching how America sees cinema today.
Is it a good idea to make original movies with big budgets of hundreds of millions of dollars?
Not really. I mean, I've seen one movie where the entirety of its runtime the entirety of the runtime was taking place in a hotel room, and it was investing from start to finish. It was a good movie called Tape. It was directed by Richard Linklater. Great, outstanding movie, and he is one of the most underrated and underappreciated film directors today. And I think that's just because a lot of people love big budgeted movies.
And well, this is an indie film. Do you think that indie films have better quality since they tend to focus more on the drama and the characters rather than the spectacle of blockbuster films?
Oh, absolutely, because like I said, special effects seem to crutch what is really the key core of quality film, because film is there to entertain, you know, and also it's also a good just something to invest your brain in. Like, if you're just watching big fancy stuff, that's just like the equivalent of, you know, shining keys in front of a baby. You need something else, more detailed, more impactful, and indies seem to focus more on story and character rather than big blockbuster films.
Well, do you think that experimental blockbusters would be a risk or an unsuccessful investment, or?
Not really, because I mean, experimental blockbusters, because I mean, we just had one and that was actually a reboot, was Mad Max. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, that one was really significant because that actually took risks and took chances. I mean, granted, it was a little low on story, but there was a lot less CGI than compared to most action films these days. Most of those things were almost practical, which is why you saw it mostly in the Oscar season this year.
Well, the movie actually made 350 millions worldwide on a budget of 150 million. Well, in the standard for success in movie blockbusters tends to be making 3 million. So Mad Max fell a little bit short. Do you think that this will discourage studios from investing in original material or rehashing old material?
Well, no, I mean, I don't think execs are going to be that dumb, because we all know if you have like somebody who's like very good at financial planning, they also need to be aware of demographics. And people who know if you tend to have something reoccurring over and over, hence sequels and all that other stuff, it tends to get old, and they're going to have to find out newer ways of presenting cinema. So yeah, I mean, this whole trend of sequels and all that, I mean, it'll be here till the end of time, but as far as the popularity it's been receiving, it's going to start getting old within probably the next decade or so.
Well, Steven Spielberg's had a quote about superhero movies. He said that they would go the way of the Western. After a load of them through the years, they would go extinct and people would get bored. And well, talking about Steven Spielberg, also the Academy Awards happened this March, and they overlooked seriously the blockbusters. Do you think that's a trend among Hollywood that is correct or that must be changed?
Well, I mean, like I said, there's other blockbusters. I mean, granted, Mad Max didn't make nearly as much as most big blockbusters do, but it was still awarded over there. It's just a matter of quality. It doesn't really matter if it's blockbuster. The term blockbuster shouldn't pertain as to whether or not if it's worthy of an Oscar. Blockbusters, indie films, it doesn't pertain to whether or not they qualify an Oscar. Whether it's a good movie or not is what makes it qualified as an Oscar.
Well, some have said that the Academy members have been too conservative with their opinions. Do you think that might change soon with all these diversity complaints?
Yeah, at first I wasn't really on board because the whole thing with the Oscars being focused on for this diversity issue, this is mainly a Hollywood issue. It's not an issue with the Oscars. The Oscars is only it's always excellence over ethnicity. Okay, ethnicity should not be taken into a factor about it. If ethnicity is wrong into why most Oscars are not receiving those kinds of movies, that's up to Hollywood. That's exec's problem, and that is a problem. But as far as going over to, Hollywood, it's just, yeah, it was just pointless for that, in my opinion.
Well, thank you for sharing your opinion with us, Stephen Way. It has been a pleasure to have you in our audience. And what do you think about movies? Will you be watching more blockbuster films, or will you try new adventures on the indies? This is Stephen Way, our guest, Franklin Pavon, your host, and see you at the movies. Good night.